Good evening. It's Wilbert Cook from Hand Up Recovery Homes. We're back again live to see if we can help reduce the violence, it's particularly the gun violence in our area. We're working in North Lawndale, East and West Garfield, and Austin. Our primary target streets are Madison and Pulaski. South along Pulaski Road to Roosevelt Road is our target area, target street and section of the community where the most prevalent, unfortunately, where violence and gun violence in particular has been pretty prevalent over the years. And our other target area in North Lawndale is the Douglas Boulevard corridor from Lawndale Street in Douglas to Kedzie and Douglas. That thoroughfare has been a hotbed since the 80s of deadly activity along the boulevard. That's made it very unsafe. And unfortunately, many families do not go back into the parks that are middle class, stable families, and those that are not into drugs, alcoholism, or the gangs. And unfortunately, the factions only have taken over more territory and become a regular staple. Thank God for a few vendors that do work from those areas, but the general families don't spend much time in the park strip through there. We're trying to help change that dynamic and make it friendly again. I have with me today a gentleman I met a few months ago who has become the leading outreach worker for Hand Up Recovery Homes in our gun violence prevention and reduction program. And his name is Shawn Smith. Shawn, you want to say hello to our viewing public and give them a few words of wisdom you've learned and some of the things you've been able to help us with over the last few months.
Okay, yes, hello again. My name is Shawn Smith. I have had the privilege, by the grace of God, to assist Wilbert in some very needed programs in the community, such as grief counseling, anger management, and substance abuse. I enjoy trying to help people. Wilbur is a very good guy, and I'm behind him 100% in trying to get a lot of these positive groups functioning. So we're all just starting and putting our heads together, trying to make it happen. It's a good group, and I'm proud, blessed to be able to, God led me to Mr. Wilbert. I'm grateful.
All right. Thank you, Shawn. We appreciate your help too, and we appreciate especially your hard work for the organization of Hand Up Recovery Homes, NFP. Shawn has been an exemplary team player. When it comes to getting the outreach done, there's nothing Shawn will not do. Shawn has carried tables for blocks, chairs for blocks. He's sat on the block for 2-3 hours consecutively, encouraging people to seek the help. Shawn has walked miles to make sure to hand out flyers for our activities so that people could show up for our anger management groups, for our conflict resolution group, for our grief and loss coaching groups. Shawn has been there. Shawn has even been out in the rain with and without an umbrella. Shawn has rode his bike from the Oak Park, Austin borderline all the way to work and all the way to our church work sites where we try to be closer to the boulevard action. So we work with several churches in those areas that have allowed us to utilize their facilities. 2 to 3 times a month, we're at the BT Little Community Center, which was developed and paid for by Greater Open Door Baptist Church. on Sawyer and 13th, and the BT Little Center is 1302. Address is 1302 South Kedzie. We're at that community center with the good fortune of their members and their pastor, Pastor Dr. Richard Nelson. And we are also on Friday evenings, twice a month, every other Friday in general, at Character Cincinnati AME Church, 1448 South Holman. The church sits on the corner of 15th and Holman, and that puts us near the action between two of the hotbeds, the 16th and Holman, as well as Douglas and Holman. And the goal was to be close to Douglas Boulevard corridor, and hopefully we'll establish a better relationship with Stone Temple that's on 13th and Millard, so we can get to that west end of the boulevard near Lawndale, our target start point going east. We prefer to say, because Lawndale is hotter than Kedzie, and because a lot of people still stay right around Lawndale, and it's a school over there and a lot of other activities. But Stone Temple's doing some great work there with their gardening programs and giving away food on Mondays at from 1 to 3. Character Cincinnati gives away food from 1 to 3 on Fridays. So there's activities we want to get involved in. Shawn even spent one afternoon over there at Cary trying to make sure that Friday night we had more people stop by for our anger management series, which we're starting. We also do vocational training. We're trying to help people plug in, and we have dozens of job references and programs for getting certifications, getting licenses. One of the newest things coming you can check into is solar energy. The state of Illinois, our legislators and the governor signed a new bill that requires all these solar companies to have at least 10% of their workforce in solar energy represent the diverse communities of Illinois. That means black, brown, that means African Americans, Latinos, it means women, it means LBGT community. Apologize if I got the alphabet wrong, and all of the other communities that feel left out, Asian communities, Cuban communities that don't always want to be under the other umbrellas. But they need to have us in their workforce. It's a $1 billion industry in Illinois, and it should net millions of dollars worth of employments, close to 100 million. 10% of the workforce should go toward hiring and retaining us as workers on all levels in the solar industry in Illinois. So there's a great opportunity, and solar will be here for quite some time, and for the indefinite future. So it's a great career opportunity for many, and the pay scale is very nice in all areas. So that's a new opportunity. There's some new manufacturing coming to the city and to the west side, and we want the people that we're trying to help stop the violence, because half the violence, if not more, revolves around poverty and people hustling, selling drugs and cigarettes and everything else on the street. Then they get into an argument over territory, space, or a couple dollars, and then fights ensue. Well, unfortunately, it used to be 80 to 90% of the fights was hand-to-hand combat. 10, sometimes 20%, somebody might pull out a knife back in the day. 1%, 2%, 30, 40 years ago might pull out a gun. Now, all of that has changed. 60, 70% of the time incidents happen. Now, a gun is involved somewhere along the line, whether it's shot or not. And then there's probably 25, 30% of the time now, just like people used to fight with their hands or occasionally pull a knife, someone gets shot. And a fair percentage of those die now from gunshot wounds. unfortunately, that's preventable, but has not been prevented. Unfortunately, it's different social ills, economic ills, mental, emotional states that we know existed that have not been dealt with in these poor communities. And we want to try to help deal with all of that. Grief and loss, whether it's through violence or through the natural process of death, it's hard for people to deal with. And one of the stages of grief is anger. Well, any angry person through grief or anger because they're angry about their life situation, anger about losing a job, anger about losing a girlfriend or a wife or a loss of a child, all of that anger pent in and not learned to be dealt with positively and resolved without violence usually begets some violence on some level. Unfortunately, increasingly that becomes gun violence because guns are everywhere. And now it's legal to carry a gun. So now you got good law-abiding people with guns for the right reason initially. But the wrong set of family dynamics, lose a job, lose a loved one, can't pay some bills at home, and now you may be angry enough to shoot somebody, even though you got it as a conceal and carry weapon to protect your family. It may become a weapon used against your family or in committing a crime and or creating, in an anger fit of rage, you may shoot someone and possibly kill them. So we want to talk about how to responsibly, even when people have guns, try to remain mentally, emotionally fit to not misuse the weapon. You know, we will not promote conceal and carry because personally, as an organization, we don't believe in that philosophy of dealing with violence or even crime. What we will promote is healthy living, mental, emotional, physical health, and financial health. Financial health is very important. So even though many of us, including me, will probably try to win the lottery, the mega lottery, or even the Powerball, so we can be super rich, and then I can put my own $5 million in the community group as a philanthropist, instead of trying to find $5 million worth of funding to help save lives. But in general, we have to look at gambling as bleeding the community of resources and continuing and expanding the poverty in our communities. For the number of jobs created by gambling, the amount of poverty and other negative issues are tremendous that we don't oftentimes talk about, and we need to talk about them. People need to control their impulses to gamble and hopefully not fall into gambling addiction, which is very prevalent now. Many places where people used to show up just for drugs and alcohol, they now show up increasingly because they've lost the house, lost the car, lost their family due to gambling. And it hasn't gotten any better. The good part is the gambling laws, well, not the gambling laws, but actually the marijuana laws help deal with addiction on all levels. So at least a percentage of the money goes, but we need a good percentage chunk, 20-25% of the gambling money to go to addiction too, and other poverty-related issues surrounding gambling and the destructive mechanisms, mental, emotional, that can be caused. Shawn, any opinion on some of that? How you feel about some of the things we've discussed this evening, and any other things you want to interject or discuss that you think is important that we dealt with or need to deal with more in helping people in the community?
I find it's a great honor to try to do something positive. Because I've grown up, I've had some very trying experiences, and so I'm qualified to relate to people who are suffering.
Okay.
And my perspective, I think, is valuable because of my experiences. And yeah, I enjoy trying to help people. And my relationship with my higher power is very strong, and just experiencing success
Right.
is, you know, I have some information that I can share on some things that, you know, people in the community might be going through with their struggles. The help and the information is there. There's a wealth of information in our little group.
Right. Okay. Good point.
And, yeah. I really enjoy working with Wilbert and my other co-workers. It's a nice, it's a nice group of people who genuinely want to make change. You know, we're focused, and we meet constantly to make sure, you know, we are focused on the right things, and there's no big I's and little U's. We collaborate on our information, trying to come up with the best solution, and we all help each other. It's a group effort. You know, we got a nice team, and we come up with some good ideas. Wilbert is a very intelligent, compassionate human being, and it's a privilege to work under him. I'm glad I met him. I'm glad God directed me to this man. I'm learning from him, and I like what he's doing. This is his baby, his his invention and everything. So I'm doing everything I can, because we're really trying to affect some souls. You know what I mean? You know, not just the programs. We pray for people and that sort of thing as well. Like,
okay, good point. Very good point. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're trying to have a holistic approach to people. We realize people suffer from mental, emotional struggles. Some is spiritual, some physical, some is just really mental, and some is emotional that causes other mental deterioration and even some of the physical deterioration. As they say, not only do diseases kill, stress is a killer. And stress causes additional diseases or compounds the negative effect of diseases on our body and our health. So we try to have a holistic approach. Also spiritual. We realize having some spiritual growth on some level and spiritual intervention is important for many people. We believe in good, orderly direction, God, good, orderly direction. But we also believe in God on a more spiritual manner. We believe in the different faiths that believe in God. But we pray in general, and we will pray in specific. But we also try to be very cognizant that everyone does not have a faith. Matter of fact, me and Shawn was talking to one of the neighbors, this Muslim over there, who does a lot to help keep the neighborhood clear of crime, drug selling, gang infestation, and she's like a one-woman wrecking crew for good versus evil, or moral versus immoral, or spiritual versus, demons. But whichever area she has to fight on, Sister Muhammad fights the good fight, and we respect her beliefs. As a Muslim, we respect all faiths. And we had a great time talking to her. Matter of fact, we're slow opening up the office today because me and Shawn was having a nice discussion about how to help keep the community, the neighborhood clean of negative activity, but also try to help people find a better way of living so they don't resort to those activities and or we can help them get out of those activities. So it's been real important, and we're really moving along, Shawn. So you've been great company.
Yeah.
Thanks for mentioning that. Our team, let me wrap up the last 5 minutes talking about our team. We have an operations manager who's tremendous. Our operations manager has worked for some of the biggest organizations in the state, in private industry, in the hospital industry. Our operations manager has worked on accounts for the housing department of Illinois. Our operations manager has helped deal with $20 and $30 million budgets for the YWCA. She's worked for the Common Charter School, worked for a major hospital now. She loves helping people recover from addiction. She loves helping people grow out of poverty through training and job certifications and education. And she wants to be a beacon of hope wherever she goes. And she sits under one of the greatest pastors in the country, Reverend Barry Hill over at Resurrection Church. And there used to be Evangel Outreach, one of the guys that helped feed 10,000 in North Lawndale years ago before it became popular, even feed 1,000 or two. He was feeding 10,000 in our poor communities over there. So that's the kind of person she is, and she helped spearhead what they call a caravan of hope with her church and other churches in the community to still try to feed upwards to 10,000 people a year. So that's one of our people. We have another gentleman who's gone through a lot of struggles in his family, and he's been in ministry on every level of the AME church and under some great leadership in the AME church, and shout out to his mentor, the great Albert D. Tyson, our presiding elder who passed several years ago. But he's been under that kind of leadership, who also was a leader with the Ministerial Alliance of Chicago, as well as the AME Ministerial Alliance of the 4th District Episcopal Church. So we have people like that been mentored by men of those great accomplishments. I also am a protege of Congressman Danny K. Davis, and my first mentor as a kid was the late, great Michael Scott Sr., who unfortunately succumbed to a tragic ending, whose son and daughter have both been alderpersons in our community. The son just resigned a few months ago, a little over a year ago, and his sister won, received an appointment and won election to the office for the next 4 years. Look forward to working with them in North Lawndale and other areas of East Garfield and tidbits of Austin in their area. So we are fortunate that we have great relationships. We've been around, and then we have a multi-million-dollar real estate executive that also does a lot of work with recovery and peer coaching. We have a young lady whose father has been at the heights of Masonry. Mother did work at Rush Presbyterian for umpteen years, 30, 40 years before she retired, unfortunately passed. My mother worked in the school system as a lunch attendant, then went to be a school aide and a certified teacher in the child care system of Chicago. And so we have a wealth of people with experience, knowledge about our community, and we all want to see the community of old even better. We want to get back to the good values, good traditions, and we want to eliminate all the negative things that have transpired the last 30, 40, and sometimes 50 years of our life. So we know what it was like to have a great North Lawndale, great Garfield, East and West, a great Austin, and we want to see those parts of the community come back. We want to see the stores on every corner and major thoroughfare, and we want to see houses throughout each and every street filled with kids who can play outside or have services to play at the gyms and parks. And we want all the wholesome things every other community is known for, whether it's Hyde Park, Oak Park, the North Shore, Evanston, Skokie, and all of those areas. We want our community to reflect all of that also. So we thank you for this opportunity to share. Shawn, you got 30 seconds to close.
Nothing. Just hope that the Almighty Creator assists us. Just gives us the wisdom to be successful, and just hope the community and you guys, anybody can hear me, to just pray for us, pray for our success. We're trying to help.
All right. And let's all work to stop gun violence.